Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, originally recorded in Bengali by M., a disciple of the Master. To the monastic members of the Ramakrishna order and the devotees of Ramakrishna in all parts of the world, reflectors of his godliness, bearers of his universal message, and my unfailing inspiration. Foreword. By way of a foreword, 2 letters are given here. The first of these was written to M. about 60 years ago by Sri Sarada Devi, the wife and companion in spiritual life of Sri Ramakrishna, now universally respected as the Holy Mother. She sent it to him after listening to a reading of Sri Ramakrishna's conversations as recorded in the original work Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita in Bengali. The second letter, which is from Swami Vivekananda, was written to M. after the second part of his book was published. My beloved child, the words you heard from the Master are true. You need not be afraid to publish them. It was the Master who left these words in your keeping. Now he is bringing them out according to the needs of the time. You should know that people's spiritual consciousness will not be awakened unless these words see the light of day. His words, which are in your keeping, are true, every one of them. When you read them to me, I felt as if he himself was speaking. Mother. Dehradun, 24th November, 1897. My dear M., many, many thanks for your second leaflet. It is indeed wonderful. The move is quite original, and never was the life of a great teacher brought before the public untarnished by the writer's mind, as you are doing. The language also is beyond all praise, so fresh, so pointed, and withal so plain and easy. I cannot express in adequate terms how I have enjoyed it. I am really in a transport when I read these words. Strange, isn't it? Our teacher and Lord was so original, and each one of us will have to be original or nothing. I now understand why none of us attempted his life before. It has been reserved for you, this great work. He is with you, evidently. With love and namaskar, Vivekananda. Postscript. Socratic dialogues are Plato all over. You are entirely hidden. Moreover, the dramatic part is infinitely beautiful. Everybody likes it, here or in the West. Preface. This book is a thoroughly revised edition of Ramakrishna, Prophet of New India, which was published in 1948. The standard edition of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, published in 1942, is already familiar to students of religion and philosophy in India and the West, and especially to those who, in their practice of spiritual discipline, look to Hinduism for help and guidance. The present edition is an abridgment of the original work. There are 2 main reasons for its publication. First, the unabridged edition contains many references to Hindu mythology and folklore with which the general Western reader is unfamiliar, as well as discussions of certain recondite aspects of Hinduism. These features create unnecessary difficulties. Second, this latter edition, being a complete translation of all the authentically recorded conversations of Sri Ramakrishna, contains repetitions which are largely responsible for its 1,063 pages. It is not convenient to carry such a book around or to use it for daily devotional study. The abridged version removes the difficulties, yet without in any way minimizing the importance of the regular edition. On the contrary, it is hoped that the present volume may stimulate the reader's desire to read all the recorded words of Sri Ramakrishna. We are grateful to Mr. J. Wendell Parr for his generosity in helping to defray the expense of printing this edition. Utmost care has been taken to present the abridged edition as a book complete in itself. The teachings have not been distorted in order to reduce the size. The overall impression of the big book will be found in the small one. The lengthy introduction has been retained with slight omissions. It gives a biographical sketch of Sri Ramakrishna and deals with the various aspects of Hindu religious thought discussed in the Gospel. Appendix A gives a short biography of Sri Chaitanya, another God-man of India often mentioned in the book. Appendix B contains a detailed discussion of Tantra, a system of religious philosophy intimately related to Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. The glossary will be a help in understanding names and terms unfamiliar to Western readers. The diacritical marks are explained under notes on pronunciation. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is the literal translation of the Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, written in the Bengali language, which contains Sri Ramakrishna's conversations with his disciples, devotees, and visitors. It was recorded under the pseudonym of M. by Mahendranath Gupta, who committed the conversations to his diary as he heard them from day to day. They possess the authenticity and vividness of stenographic reports. Sri Ramakrishna, whose name became a household word in India within 50 years of his death, is now becoming known to Europe and America through the writings of Swami Vivekananda and the activities of the monks of the Ramakrishna order. Among the savants of the West, Max Muller and Romain Rolland have written about him. Both in India and in the outside world, men have begun to recognize him as belonging in the line of such religious prophets as Krishna, Buddha, and Christ. He represents the very core of the time-honored spiritual wisdom of India. In this age of reason and skepticism, he brings us a direct report from the realm of the spirit. His utterances bear evidence of his communion with God. Sri Ramakrishna's body and senses, mind and ego, purified by spiritual disciplines, became instruments for the revelation of supersensuous truths. His words are direct and graphic. They silence all doubts. They have an impelling power to subdue the mind's restlessness and give it peace and certitude. The malady of our age, as indeed of every age, is spiritual. The cause of humanity's sickness is attachment to lust and greed, or, to use Sri Ramakrishna's expressive words, woman and gold. The undisciplined ego has aggravated this illness. The remedy lies in its control. Sri Ramakrishna's life is a demonstration of the triumph of spirit over matter. He reached a depth in spiritual consciousness which transcends time and space and has a universal appeal. His life and teachings attract all sincere souls, no matter what their faith or creed. Nikhilananda, New York, October 15th, 1957. Introduction by Swami Nikhilananda. Sri Ramakrishna was born at Kamarpukur, a village in the Hooghly district, which preserved, during the last century, the idyllic simplicity of the rural areas of Bengal. Situated far from the railway, it was untouched by the glamour of the city. It contained rice fields, tall palms, royal banyans, a few lakes, and 2 cremation grounds. South of the village, a stream took its leisurely course. A mango orchard dedicated by a neighboring zemindar to the public use was frequented by the boys for their noonday sports. A highway passed through the village to the great temple of Jagannath at Puri, and the villagers, most of whom were farmers and craftsmen, entertained many passing holy men and pilgrims. The dull round of the rural life was broken by lively festivals, the observance of sacred days, religious singing, and other innocent pleasures. About his parents, Sri Ramakrishna once said, "My mother was the personification of rectitude and gentleness. She did not know much about the ways of the world. Innocent of the art of concealment, she would say what was in her mind. People loved her for her open-heartedness. My father, an Orthodox Brahmin, never accepted gifts from the Sudras. He spent much of his time in worship and meditation, and in repeating God's name and chanting his glories. Whenever, in his daily prayers, he invoked the goddess Gayatri, his chest flushed with emotion, and tears rolled down his cheeks. He spent his leisure hours making garlands for the family deity, Raghuvar. Kuduriam Chattopadraya and Chandra Devi, the parents of Sri Ramakrishna, were married in 1799. At that time, Kuduriam was living in his ancestral village of Drayapur, not far from Kamarpur. Their first son, Ramkumar, was born in 1805, and their first daughter, Katyayani, in 1810. In 1814, Kuduriam was ordered by his landlord to bear false witness in court against a neighbor. When he refused to do so, the landlord brought a false case against him and deprived him of his ancestral property. Thus dispossessed, he arrived, at the invitation of another landlord, in the quiet village of Kamarpur, where he was given a dwelling and about an acre of fertile land. The crops from this little property were enough to meet his family's simple needs. He lived here in simplicity, dignity, and contentment. 10 years after his coming to Kamarpur, Kuduriam made a pilgrimage on foot to Rameswar, at the southern extremity of India. The image of Shiva worshipped there under the name of Rameswara, the Lord of Rama, was said to have been installed by Rama on his way back to India after the destruction of Ravana, the monster king of Ceylon. 2 years later was born his second son, whom he named Rameswar. Again, in 1835, at the age of 60, he made a pilgrimage, this time to Gaya. Here, from ancient times, Hindus have come from the 4 corners of India to offer food and drink at the sacred footprint of the Lord Vishnu for the satisfaction of the souls of their departed ancestors and relatives. At this holy place, Kuduriam had a dream in which the Lord Vishnu promised to be born as his son. And Chandra Devi, too, in front of the Shiva temple at Kamarpur, had a vision indicating the birth of a divine child. Upon his return, the husband found that she had conceived. It was on February 18th, 1836, that the child, to be known afterwards as Ramakrishna and honored as the God-man of modern India, was born. In memory of the dream at Gaya, he was given the name of Gandhar, the bearer of the mace, an epithet of Vishnu. 3 years later, a little sister was born. End of today's reading.